أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening wherever you're listening. Welcome to today's column of Hadith Daily. Jazakumullah khairan. Thank you for coming. Today we shall be diving into the virtues of Zikr. The virtues of Zikr. What are the importance of Zikr in Islam? And most especially, we'll be paying more attention to this performance of Zikr in group. What do the Prophet ﷺ says about performance of Zikr in groups? Because in Nigeria, where I live, we have several groups of people who have several names, societies performing Zikr in group. We have some people that speaks against such performance, and we also have people who support such performance. So today we are going to look at some hadiths of the Prophet ﷺ, which speaks about this kind of activities, performance of Zikr in groups. What do the hadith says about it? Do we think it is acceptable by the Prophet ﷺ, or do we think it is a non-acceptable activities according to the ways of the Prophet ﷺ? So this is where we want to look at today, and it is only done for proper assurance of what we are doing as Muslims, because everything we do in Islam is strictly to please Almighty Allah. It's strictly to adhere to the will and to the will of the Prophet of Almighty Allah, and in order to attain this, we need to stick to the ways of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So let's look at some hadith in this direction. Let's hear what the hadith says, and then we can be proper guided. May Allah guide us to the right path. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was reported to have said, Almighty Allah will on the day of Qiyamah resurrect certain groups of people in such a state that their faces will be radiant with lights. They will be sitting on pulpits of pearls, and others will envy their lots. They will neither be from among the prophets nor the martyrs. Somebody among the congregation asked Prophet ﷺ to tell him more about these people. So the Prophet ﷺ said, they will be the people who belong to different families. They will be the people who belong to different families, and from different places, but they usually assemble in one place for the love of Allah and are engaged in his zikr. They will be the people who come from different families and different places, but usually assemble in one place for the love of Almighty Allah and are often engaged in his zikr. What this hadith is saying is that on the day of Qiyamah, some people will be raised with their faces shining, radiant light, which means their faces will be illuminating light. These people will be sitting on pulpits of pears. Pears is a precious stone, like gold, silver, and dust. Now, many people will envy such people. Many people will be envying these people that are sitting on pears with faces of radiance. And when Rasulullah told his followers, somebody asked a question that who are these people? And Rasulullah said they are people that come from different families, different backgrounds, different environments to a particular place for the love of Allah and remembrance of Allah in Zikr. This is the first update in that direction. Let's take another one. Hadrat Abu Razin radiallahu anhu, a Sahabi, narrates that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Shall I tell you something that will strengthen you, that will strengthen your iman and earn you the blessings of Allah, the Great, in both worlds," which means in this world and the hereafter. It is the gatherings of those who do zikr of Almighty Allah. It is the gatherings of those who do zikr of Almighty Allah. You should make it a point to take part in them. You should make it a point to take part in them, and when you are alone, do as much zikr as you can. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam from Hadrat Abu Razin radiallahu anhu said, "Shall I tell you something?" He is talking to his companions there, that should he tell them something that will strengthen their iman, and earn them the blessings of Allah. So he said further that it is the partaking in the gathering that are performing zikr. You should always partake in the gathering that are performing zikr of Allah. Gatherings that are performing zikr of Allah. That's, if you do, it will strengthen your iman and it will earn you blessings from Allah. Hadrat Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu also explained that the houses in which zikr is done appears to be as bright, as shining as the stars of the dwellers of the earth. Hadrat Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu explains that the houses in which zikr is done appear to be as bright and shining as the stars to the dwellers of the earth. What this hadith is telling us is that the houses by which zikr is often performed will be shining, just the way we on the earth are seeing stars shining in the sky. That's how the houses where zikrs are performed, that's how the houses often shines to dwellers of heaven. Also, another hadith in this direction, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, when you pass the gardens of paradise, grace to your heels, grace to your heart content, grace to your heart's content. Graze as in the grazing, eating. Graze to your heart's content. Graze till you are fed up. Graze till your heart is filled up. Someone asked, "Oh, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what is meant by the gardens of paradise? What is meant by the gardens of paradise?" He replied, "Gardens for performing zikr." Gardens for performing zikr. What Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying is that when you pass by a gardens where they are performing zikr, where zikr is performed, grace to your heart's content. An explanation. What is meant is that if somebody is lucky enough to get access to such gardens where zikr is performed, he should take full advantage of it, as these are the gardens of paradise on the earth. Gardens where zikrs are performed are like the gardens of paradise on earth. The word grace to your heart's content, as used in this hadith, signifies that just as animals grazing in a green pasture or garden does not give up grazing in spite of being driven or beaten by its owner, similarly, a zakir, a person who performs zikr, should not get pulled away from the gatherings for zikr by the worldly anxieties and hindrances. The gardens for zikr are likened to the gardens of paradise, because just as there are no worries in the paradise, similarly, gardens of zikr are safeguarded against every kind of calamity. Gardens of zikr are safeguarded against every kind of calamity. Okay, what that hadith is telling us is that a gardens where zikr is performed is safeguarded against any form of calamity. Where you join them to perform zikr and you are there with your hearts, with the sole purpose of serving Allah, with the sole purpose of remembrance of Allah and performance of zikr for Him. Such gardens will guide you against all forms of calamities. That is the word of the prophets, which is our role model and the super speaker. Everything the prophet said is not from his heart, but things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has allowed him to say, has ordered him to say. Now let's take a look at the last hadith in this column, for the column. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "One who is too weak to bear the strain of keeping awake at night, one who is too weak to bear the strain of keeping awake at night, performing tahajjud, and also too miserly, he can't also spend his wealth in the path of Allah. He's also too stingy, miserly, too stingy to spend his wealth in the path of Allah, and is too cowardly to take part in jihad. This same person does not have the courage to take part in jihad. A person who combines these three attributes is too weak to wake up in the night to pray, he is too stingy, too miserly to pay to contribute his wealth in the ways of Allah, to pay zakat, to do sadaqah, and so on. And he is also too coward afraid to perform in jihad should engage in zikr of Allah, should always engage in the zikr of Allah. Somebody that cannot perform jihad, he cannot spend in the way of Allah, he cannot wake up in the night to pray jihad, to pray. Such person should always engage in the zikr of Allah. At least engaging in zikr of Allah will cost him nothing. That's what the Prophet is saying in that hadith. What the Prophet is saying in all the hadiths we're reading today is that being a part of a group that performs zikr is highly rewarding. It's a thing that gives a Muslim high reward before Almighty Allah. And the third hadith even says that it safeguards a Muslim against all forms of calamity. First thing is that you should check your iman. Make sure that you check your iman, know that you believe in what you are doing. The second thing is to check your intentions. Why are you really going there? Is it just to be seen going there, or with the intention to worship Almighty Allah and to engage in His remembrance? And the third thing is to have the firm belief that everything you do, everything you pray for will be answered by Almighty Allah. With this, I believe, with the word of the prophets, a person performing zikr will have no cause to regret it in this world and in the hereafter. Thank you for listening to this column of Hadith Daily. Jazakumullah khairan. This is where we shall be stopping for today. Please, if you are new to the channel, kindly help us to subscribe to the channel and share the video to other Muslims. May Allah bless you as you do. See you in our next column. Ma'assalam.
ربنا وجعلنا مسلمين لك ومن ذريتنا